Jeez, is there anything I can even say about this episode that hasn't already been said? Oh, fuck it, let's get this over with. As the episode begins, we see Rainbow Dash coaching Fluttershy and Snowflake, who's now officially named Bulk Biceps. Personally, I prefer Snowflake, but considering what happened the last time they used a fan-made name for a background character, I'm not really surprised. They're trying to qualify to compete in the aerial relay race at the Equestria Games, and if you're wondering why Rainbow is training for a flying competition with the two worst flyers this side of Scootaloo, you're not alone. Though thankfully we get an answer soon enough as we learn that there are rules that limit each athlete to one event, and all the other Pegasi have been assigned elsewhere. It seems to be common knowledge at this point that the leftovers went to the relay team, with the plan being for Rainbow Dash to use her speed to make up for the other two, and everyone she talks to thanks her for throwing herself under the short bus. Okay, so right from the beginning we're told that the relay team is a joke, Bulk and Fluttershy are useless, and all the responsibility is being put on Rainbow Dash, and everyone knows it. Remember that. We get to Rainbow Falls where the qualifier tournament is being held. Sweet pony tits, are you trying to ship Rainbow Dash with the background? Oh look, obviously I like rainbows, otherwise I wouldn't be able to watch the show half the time, but usually it's a little more subtle than this. I mean, fuck, it looks like a pride parade wandered into a Skittles factory and exploded. They go so overboard with it that by the time Rainbow Dash gets her rainbow key at the end, it really gets to be a bit overwhelming. Anyway, we get to see a bit of the competition, including a team of griffins. Hey, awesome. And the Wonderbolts are here too, of course. Hey, Soren's back. And the third one speaks. I had to check the credits because they never actually say her name in the episode, but apparently this is Fleetfoot, who Rarity mentioned back in Sweet and Elite. You know, she's been with the Wonderbolts in every appearance they've made since the show began, so it's cool to finally know what to call her. During practice, Rainbow's friends keep trying to sabotage her team, between Rarity stealing their equipment and Applejack trying to moon them, and failing that, just throwing food in their faces. Okay, seriously, I know she got the idea from watching the other teams, but it didn't occur to her to tell anyone what she was doing before eat my butt pastries! Getting frustrated, Rainbow takes her team to study the Wonderbolts. Soren gets injured after being distracted by a cheerleader. That is going to invalidate so many fanfictions. And considering their previous experience at the Wonderbolts Academy, the other two suggest that Rainbow could fly with them for a while. Rainbow's afraid of how it might look to her team though, and in a surprisingly sinister tone they say that no one would have to know about it. I'm really not sure why all the secrecy is necessary. I mean, they're literally just standing right there. Besides, Bulk and Fluttershy spend the majority of the episode goofing around and playing dress-up anyway. Of course, practice with the Wonderbolts goes incredibly well, and they try to get her to join the team permanently, saying that Soren won't be able to get better in time. Meanwhile, over on the Ponyville team, Twilight seems to be the only one who's able to look up and see what Rainbow's doing. She tries to shame her into coming back, saying that Applejack will have baked all those apple brown betties for nothing, as if she couldn't turn around and try to sell them to the other teams. In fact, with all the continuity this episode throws around, it would have been really cool to have another moment between AJ and Soren. But we also have to consider the team uniforms that Rarity made. No. Just no. Rarity's good with dresses, but she clearly doesn't know what athletic uniforms are supposed to look like. I appreciate that they're trying to show her being generous, but this isn't a birthday gift. You're going to represent your town in front of the entire kingdom. And besides that, these outfits were introduced as a joke. That's why Bulk is prancing around and laughing, right? If you're going to suddenly turn around and try to take this seriously, fuck you, get someone who knows what they're doing to make the uniforms. And then there's Pinkie Pie. Honestly, I thought she was kind of funny in this episode, so I'm not going to complain. So, since Rainbow can't seem to choose between her idols who are being unnecessarily dickish and her friends who are being unnecessarily stupid, she takes herself out of the competition by pretending to be injured from doing something that's apparently unmentionable. Yeah, put it in your mouth, put it in your mouth. Now tell your mistress thank you. Luckily, they already have a replacement for her. And you know, so far this episode isn't really doing it for me. If only there was some way— Derpy! Oh my god, it's Derpy! 11 out of 10, best episode ever! Okay, has everyone gotten that out of their systems? Alright, so yes, congratulations Derpy, you're the new Rainbow Dash. And before leaving Rainbow in the hospital, Twilight tells her that choosing not to choose isn't really choosing. Actually, Twilight, yes it is. You just created a false dichotomy and now you're pissed off that she found a way out of it. We see Soren in the next bed over with his wings still bandaged. He says it's fine though, he's just being cautious in case his team decides to take him back after they told him he was being replaced. Actually, with Rainbow leaving the competition, why didn't they try to get him back? Now this sets off Rainbow's bullshit detector inspector, and with her artificially enhanced wing boners, she confesses what happened. She goes back to the Ponyville team, and even with the fastest flyer in all of Equestria, they just barely qualify. Meanwhile, Applejack looks about as baked as her brown Betties. And so, the episode ends with Rainbow writing bros before hoes in the journal, while outside, Twilight plays grab ass with Pinkie Pie. Sweet merciful fuck, where do I begin? It's interesting to note that whether you like the episode or not, just about everyone has been saying the exact same thing about it. The humor is good, the world building is appreciated, and of course Derpy outshines everything. But the actual story doesn't hold up under any kind of scrutiny. For one thing, it's a cliche story that we've already seen a million times, and it doesn't try to do anything clever with the formula. Now that might be okay, since, as we have to keep reminding ourselves, this is a show for little kids, but even then, it gets the cliche wrong. This isn't a team of underdogs fighting with all their hearts to overcome the odds. These two barely seem like they're invested in the race at all. Why are they on the relay team in the first place? I'm sure Fluttershy would want to help out Rainbow Dash because she just has to have that candy vag. Warning, the term candy vag is now owned by the makers of Candy Crush Saga. But she's not an athlete. When she comes out at the end and says that they'll support Rainbow Dash even if she goes over to the Wonderbolts, at that point I couldn't care less if Rainbow went back to the Ponyville team. Meanwhile, Bulk Biceps clearly is an athlete, but here his strength works against him. Again, as a comedy it works fine, but the episode also expects us to take it seriously, and that's where it falls apart. I also really hate how the Wonderbolts are portrayed as assholes just for the sake of having an obligatory bad guy. It makes Rainbow's decision at the end seem obvious, but even then it still doesn't really feel right. Putting all the responsibility on one teammate just to make up for the fact that everyone else sucks isn't really a team in the first place. Look, ultimately this episode has moments that are enjoyable, and I could probably watch it again just for the humor, but otherwise it's seriously one of the worst episodes of the entire series. When even the people who liked it can say that the story didn't work, you know something went wrong behind the scenes, and it makes it seem even more obvious when they're trying to distract us with fan service. Rainbow Falls gets a derp out of 10. Hey everyone, if you like my video, be sure to support me on Patreon, and remember, the more you donate, the happier Fluttershy will be.